Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I'm in the laboratory here in Southwest Florida, and all I wanted to do was give you an update of some of the things that are going on in the laboratory. I don't have one specific thing that I want to share with you, but there's just a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of flasks, and I've got a lot of plants that I deflask, and I just want to show you how all of those things are growing. Things are going a little well, and that's good because everything is just growing up. You know, new roots, new plants, new seedlings. Yikes, lots of stuff. I'm getting pretty busy with all of the plants that I have and trying to keep up with things. I am so happy that I do have some helpers in the laboratory. None of them are here today, which is a shame, but it's also good because I can get some things done that I've been trying to catch up on, and I can see some things that I haven't observed in a while. So I first want to start off to just show you some of the flasks that I have and explain to you how things are going there, and then I'm going to get behind the camera and show you some of the deflasked orchids and how they look. So first thing is these are some really nice Cattleyas flasks right here, and these are actually not my crosses. This is a cross that somebody in my orchid breeding group provided to me, and it's just these plants are doing really well. I mean, look at the amount of root growth here is just phenomenal. The plants, this is a Cattleyas cross, and the plants themselves are doing well. This is one of the first plants and one of the first capsules that the people in my group gave to me. So what happened is I wanted to make sure that I had enough plants, and I got plenty. I got these two, and then I got 5 more, and I've already provided all the plants that I thought this person wanted, really more than he can handle. So I've got a lot of plants left over from this, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this, but anyway, it's fun. I wanted to share that with you. I also have some, as I go through here, again, there's some more plants that are doing well, and you may not. There's a lot of condensation on these containers, but these are large containers, and these are filled with this Cattleyas, and this is actually Cattleyas pumila. This is from an old seed capsule that I had many years ago, and what happened is the seed just kind of sat in the dishes, and they don't do anything until you transfer them. So I may even have a few more dishes of this, but I transferred, and it apparently liked these very small seedlings that were in the dishes, like being transferred, because look how well these are growing. And again, the flasks, the roots on the bottom of the flasks are also doing well. So really phenomenal growth. And I've got, again, a few of these flasks. These are Cattleyas pumilas, and I've got a few of these flasks that I need to find homes for these plants. I actually already have plants from this same capsule that have flowered for me. So they kind of, again, they're in the dishes, and if they sit there, they kind of go dormant and don't do anything for a while, and then when you remove them, they get. So anyway, I have a lot of these. They've even flowered. I've got large plants of this, and I've got more now. These are some Encyclias. I've got a lot of Encyclias in the laboratory. These are actually from Tristan, and there's Encyclia altissima right here. And look at, I don't know if you can see the root growth there. And this is Encyclia piriformis here. And they're very different plants. And they're all doing well. It's been a while. These maybe were a little slower growing than my Encyclia tampensis. I also have, I've got a lot of Encyclia tampensis. If you took a look at my last video, you saw how all the plants I have, and I still have many more plants coming out of flasks. I've deflasked some. I've got some that are in small plates, smaller containers, large containers like this, the tampensis. But this is again, this is altissima with maybe it's better to take a look at. I mean, look at that root growth on the side of that container. It really is phenomenal on this this altissima. And the piriformis, again, this is growing quite well. As I'm moving down my my list here, I got to show you this. I just have a lot of different orchids to share with you. So these are some phals, and these are the Phalaenopsis that I use to make my burlap phals, and I'll show you some of those in a little bit because those are still doing well. The interesting thing is I've shown you the bottom of these flasks before, and normally when the plants are big like this, you'll see roots. Here you don't see any roots. The phals, either the medium is not optimized or the phals grow a little differently. I mean, they're big plants that are growing in these containers. They don't seem to burrow through the medium the same way that the Cattleyas do. They seem to just go on the top. They're really easy to separate. These guys fall apart like crazy. You don't have to work them apart or do anything like that. So these are some phals that I have, and again, I've got a few of these. And again, trying to find home with the burlap phals. I think it's so easy and it's so fun to do. I'm finding home for the phals pretty easily. I've got a lot of flasks of this. This is Guaranthe skinneri, or Skinneri. So these are a couple of flasks from that. These plants don't, for some reason they aren't getting that large when they're in the flasks, but you remove them. I've deflasked some of these and I've removed them and they just take off. So these things and the plants, these Guaranthe plants will get big. I have also some other Guaranthe species that were just transferred to the first replate medium, but those are too small and those are in dishes right now. But anyway, the Skinneri are doing pretty well, and I've got a lot of these. I have also quite a few and I got to pick up some different ones. So these are 1, 2, 3. These are just 3 of my Cattleya. It's hard to hold up. These are 3 of my Cattleya hybrids, and they're also doing well in these flasks. I don't know if you can see the amount of root growth right here, but it's just really phenomenal growth on these guys, root growth. These are 3 different Cattleya crosses that I've done, and they just are, they're just doing well. I think all these are named. Some of my other crosses aren't named yet. I like to wait until I deflask and get some decent sized plants. So I've deflasked all of these, but these were successful, and I've got a lot more. So these are situations where I could, if I wanted to, I could make I could make a lot of plants of this, but I'm being a little bit conservative as far as what I'm deflasking, because I just don't have that much space for this. So these are still flasked, and they can stay in here for a little bit longer, but not too much. They probably need to be deflasked pretty soon. So that's, I do have a few more. Oh, I should also, right here, I've got, and right here, these are not really big, but I just wanted to share these with you because these are new for me. This is a Grammatophyllum right here. and this is actually it's my second Grammatophyllum, but they do well. The roots Grammatophyllum roots grow really well, but the roots really grow well in this medium. I actually just transferred these today though, and these are Vandas, and this is one of my first Vandas right here, and these are a little bit slow growing in the medium that I'm using, and I'm not sure why. The Phals, it's a medium that I use here is one that I developed for Cattleyas. So the Grammatophyllum does well, the Vandas and the Phals don't do as well, and maybe I'll have to use some other media formulations for those other plants. I mean, they're doing okay, they're growing okay, but they don't grow as fast as the Cattleyas. All right, I think that's all I have. There's a few more things, but I think it's time to get behind the camera. I want to show you what some of the deflasked orchids look like, because some of the growth that I'm getting in those deflasked plants is pretty nice. And I want to share that final thing with you, and we'll go from there. All right, so let me get behind the camera. Okay, and we're back, and these are, as you can tell, these are burlap Phals. Some of these plants were pretty big, and these were only deflasked, I think, a week ago, just last week. So these are all, there's not much going on here. The roots they're kind of swelling. But they tend to do well. That they look great, and we'll just kind of follow up and see how they do. What I've done with some of these, there's only 2 of them on each piece of burlap. I kind of decided that 3 might be too much. They might get kind of crowded. But if you go over here, so there's another, and I've got a few tubs of the burlap Phals, because like I said last time, what I want to do is I've scaled up a little bit, and I want to try placing them on one of the golf course properties that one of the members is associated with, and we'll see how they do in the real world, not in my yard. The other thing that I want to show you here is the back burlap orchids are this one and this one. Those aren't Phals, so those are some Dendrobiums, and this is just kind of new, so we'll see how these go. The roots are quite different, as you know. They're a little bit more fibrous and smaller. The plants themselves were a little smaller, and this was a rescue because the flask was contaminated. So I pulled these out, and we'll see how they do. There's some of the Phals there, but we'll see. I have, what is that, 5 pieces of Dendrobium burlap dens, and we'll see how these grow out, and they're in the same container as the rest of the burlap Phals here. So I'm just trying something new. I had to rescue these. I've got a lot more Dendrobiums that I've got in large flasks from this same cross, so hopefully it'll be a nice cross, but they tend to do well on trees too. Okay, so I'm going to change the setup a little bit, and we'll take a look now at some of the deflasked orchids that were placed in bark. Okay, and we're back. So I have 5 tubs that I want to show you the contents of, and I actually don't have them in deflasking order of anything, and I'll try to mention how long ago they were deflasked as we take a look at it. This is a new hybrid, and this was deflasked I think it's about 3 weeks ago. And so what you can see as you look at these, what I try to look for, and it's a good sign, is that the root growth at the crown of the plant. And not all of these have it, but what you can look as you go through these plants, you can see the nice root growth on some of these plants. And that's in general, like I said, what you look for in order for, just to make sure everything is going on. Now, there are some big plants and there's some smaller plants in here. The helpers that I have like saving the small ones. They're compassionate deflaskers. and I normally don't mess with the ones like over here, but they put multiple small plants per pot, and they feel good that they're saving these baby orchids, but it's not something normally that I would do. But anyway, this is just one of the flasks that was done a few weeks ago. Moving over to this flask, or to this container, this tub. These are Pseudopodium punctatum, and these were deflasked, I think. Oh, they were only deflasked a week ago. And so you can take a look at these. There's not really, and I'm you know, even after a week, I expect to see some root growth, and here I don't see, well, maybe there, but you don't, maybe there. You don't see anything. So these were big plants when they were deflasked, so they got a long way to go. They still look pretty good. Again, there's the compassionate deflasking. You got a couple of small plants that are put into these, you know, each individual pot rather than just the big ones. But you can, I don't know if you can, I mean, these are pretty big, big plants in here. Okay, and speaking of big plants, moving down here, these are Encyclias that again were well past the deflasking time, and these were also deflasked about, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago. And you can see on some of these, I don't know if we would have focused in because the plants are so big, we're kind of focusing in on the plants, but you can see some new root growth on these plants, and again, this is what you look for. But these Encyclias were just, they were too big, and they needed to come out of the flask. So, and if you wait too long, if they're too big, they're not going to do well as well. But you can see, look how, I mean, there's a lot of plant in that one pot right there. So I think it's, but they had to come out. I just waited a little bit too long for it. Okay, so this is Encyclia tampensis, and as we move over to the next container, we've got a couple of different orchids in here. So on the right side, there's Encyclia piriformis. It was a contaminated flask, and I had to pull these plants out and get them potted. So they're a little bit smaller than I'd like, but they're doing okay. So another Encyclia, and then in here there's some Cattleyas right here. And again, you can see on the Cattleyas, I like to see the nice new root growth as shown here and here. All right, so again, one of my new, and this, the one on the left is a new hybrid, and I haven't named that yet. All right, moving on to the last flask is right here. And this is a real vigorous grower, and this was deflasked a while ago. So I think this is actually 5 weeks ago. And normally this is the time, as far as looking at the time, that I usually let these plants recover and grow in bark. It's usually 4 weeks. These guys might have been a little bit slower. I wanted to give them a little bit longer to grow. So, and then I've got travel coming up, so I didn't want to leave them alone. But these are ready to acclimate, but like I said, I didn't want to crank or take the lid off and not be around if they over dried too quickly. But what you can see in here is, and this is a new named hybrid, but what you can see is really the incredible root growth that you have on these plants, and they're growing nicely, and you won't see too much leaf growth when you deflask right away, but what you look for is the new root growth, and that's really happening here. I've got 3 flats just like this from this same cross, 3 tubs I should say, from the same named cross. So I'm going to have a lot of plants, and they seem to be vigorous. I haven't lost a single one yet. But it is still early. So I'm hopeful about this, that this cross will be nice. Okay, so that's it. That's the last. I've got a few more, but there's a lot of repeating of what you're seeing, and a lot of the tubs have the same orchids in there. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you like my video and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed an update of all the flasks and deflasked orchids in the laboratory. All right, that's it. Happy propagating.